What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Cross Guild Chronicles. This is episode 9 of our adventure. Shady, welcome back, man. Good to see you. How you been?
Been good, man. Been good, bro. Ready to get after it. We're almost at double digits for the series, so let's
Pe-
keep rolling, man.
People said we wouldn't last 2 episodes. We're almost to double digits now, so
The
you
hate
know.
just fuels me even more, man.
We took last week off. Life's busy, but here we are, another episode. Shady, usually we've kind of gone into topics, arc reviews, different things like that. Today, we're going to start with a chapter review. We're going to do 1136 and 1137 of the Elbath arc. An arc that has been very, very interesting. I feel like there's been just a lot of good stuff happening so far in this arc, and these two chapters even put it in an even different. The stock is going up on Elbath very quickly. Anything you want to touch on before we go into each chapter individually?
Nothing specific, no. I mean, I agree with you. I think that the build up in these Elbaf chapters have been really good, and you can definitely tell that Elbaf has a different flavor. Even though we're probably going to get the usual arc structure in some sense, I feel like there's a lot of differences in Elbaf that you can already tell that we'll get into in a little bit.
Definitely. And let's get into that, Shady. Today we're going to do it a little bit different. We're going to do obviously review of each chapter, and then we got some questions, and we got a little bit of a game at the end. We're going to go a little bit more structured today going forward, so we'll see how that plays out. Let's get into the first 1136. This right here, we're getting more information about the Giants. We're getting more information about what's happened in the past and how we got to here today. Anything just panel wise, anything catch your eye before we really get into the meat and potatoes of the chapter this week?
Panel wise, I'm not sure exactly how I would word that, but I think it's cool how we're getting a little bit of the world building of Elbath. They talked about the underworld and the sun world and how most people don't even get there because of the fact that the underworld scares them off, obviously, right? We get a little bit of Loki information that we'll get into in a bit, but I think it's a pretty standard lore build-up chapter, especially with the Nika stuff, which we'll touch upon in just a few moments, I assume.
Of course. Well, now that you said that, let's lead into it. So the giant, every giant wants to become the sun god. They want to become Nika. They want to become, they call it, they've gone through, different ways, liberator, destroyer, all these different things that kind of tie into what Nika can be. And then obviously Loki wanting to be him, more than anybody else in his mind. Looking at this, and I'm going to ask it, and we'll just get it out of the way now. And I know your feelings on it, but to me, this looks like Luffy's going to ask him to join the crew. I mean, let's just get it out of the way. It kind of has a similar, not the exact same, but it has a similar vibe to the way Zoro joined the crew originally. Prisoner, locked up. Everybody's like, this is the worst guy there ever was. And Luffy's head, that's ding, ding, ding. I got to have this guy. Are you getting that vibe from this chapter? Because to me, I feel like it just seems like we're heading that way.
So yeah, I can see the similarities for sure. Like he literally said the same thing as Zoro did. He's like, "I'll take out any pirate crew of your choice if you free me." It's just a very similar vibe. Join the crew. I don't know. Obviously, he wants to get the information. Way. He wants to get the information about Shanks from him. Absolutely, but I see. I don't know, man. We'll get more into Loki for sure, but like, I see him as like kind of an anti-hero role in this arc. I don't see a pure antagonist. I think there's just a little bit more than meets the eye right now, and that's clearly being built up in this chapter with all the Keen Herald stuff. But he's gonna be like a direct ally. I don't know, man. I can't see it. I'm not like completely opposed to it, just depending on how events unfold. But that's where I'm leaning more towards that, like kind of.
I think at the end here we'll kind of tie these two chapters together because they're very intertwined here. And then we get some, obviously, like you said, we get some more Nika information. Yep. And that's where I kind of think, do you think by the end of this Elbath chapter, once everybody's seen Luffy, he takes this as a territory away from Shanks? Because I don't see how they could not go with their quote unquote god. You know what I mean? So like, could that be
Yeah.
a potential rift point between Shanks and Luffy, or something like that? Any thoughts on that? Because to me, the way the Giants speak about Nika, it's just in such reverence. Luffy literally has the appearance. He has that
Mhm.
all. What's your thoughts there?
Yeah, before I answer the Shanks and territory question, though, I think it's proper that I address the Nika situation a little more
Mhm.
depth because, like you said, he does have those qualities. But I feel like what's being built up here is exactly what we saw in Egghead from Vegapunk with like the imagination aspect, right? That's how he thinks devil fruits were created. And it seems like Nika is just that concept, right? Various lands have awaited Nika, this liberator, but then what did the Giants say? No, it's a destruction. No, it's a like a
Yeah.
laughter or whatever. So I think there could be different variations of this Nika, right? Maybe that's what Devil Fruit Loki has. Maybe he has like the destruction Nika. And then
Cool.
Blackbeard comes and scoops that, and then him and Luffy are the liberator destruction counterparts to each other, right? So I feel like just Nika has like and the legend behind it has so much potential. I don't know if Nika was even maybe it wasn't even a real person. Maybe it's just a concept that was imagined by people. And then there's been like a Nika figure throughout the generations, like Joy Boy was the liberator figure from the Void Century and whatnot. So to answer your question though, that's a tough one, man, because usually, yes, he does take the territory, obviously, but since this is going to be Shanks, who's more of like an ally,
Yeah.
obviously an adversary in some ways because they're Yonko counterparts, but man, I don't know. I'm going to say probably.
Well, and this is what we've kind of hinted at in the past. At some point, when your goals are the same and you want this we have heard Luffy say, I want to be king of the pirates from day one. He has always wanted that. To be king of the pirates, he's gonna have to step over Shanks.
Yep.
And this is a way to take a leg up on Shanks potentially, and it doesn't have to necessarily be a violent interaction between the two crews. I'm just trying to see, this is I don't know. I think a Shanks and him a legitimate fight isn't going to happen, but there could be small things that could, oh, here's a chess piece by Luffy. Shanks answers back, with the Bardo situation, things, just different things like that could
Yeah.
build up.
No, that's a good point for sure, man. I mean, yeah.
And then let's talk a little bit more about Loki.
Yep.
Obviously that we've seen other giants and, his brother, Hydrogen, decently strong, but the way everybody talks about Loki, how strong do you think he is just based on some of the buildup, in terms of, oh, he at 10 years old, he was this, at 10 years old, he was taming the wild monsters, fighting King Harold, doing all these different things. How strong do you really think he is? Because I think Oda's had him chained up for a reason. I feel like he's got to be a monster once he gets unchained. So,
clearly a monster, bro. Clearly.
how,
I think
how much are you going to give him?
I'm going to give him maybe top 15. I think he's like on the back end of the top 15. I can't really say top tier yet, but again, what are the clues? He fought against Harold. We don't know if it was a clean victory or not, obviously, but Harold was, renowned as a super powerful king of Elbaf, which is considered the mightiest nation. So that logic follows. 2.6 billion special bounty. I mean, again, you don't really get in the threes, even in the twos, unless you're like a Yonko or close to Yonko. Remember, Blackbeard's first bounty was 2.2 billion. Well, second technically, I guess, or did he go straight from zero to whatever? You get what I mean. Yeah. He was a Yonko when he had a 2 billion berry bounty, a little bit lower than Loki. So given those coups, I think it's fair to assume he's like somewhere in the top 15 range, like on the outskirts of those top tiers.
Yeah, and that's what I kind of like. I would almost, I think he has to be probably directly behind Zoro for me. I think it only would make sense that, and we're gonna potentially see Luffy, Zoro, and Loki, and then obviously we'll touch on that here shortly. That situation will happen. I'm gonna say directly behind Zoro, and I have Zoro in the top 20, so we're right in that same neighborhood. If we've gone into it before, but right in that same neighborhood, Zoro's right in there in that mix. So I think that's fair. I think right just the way they built him up and the way that he's revered in a warrior race of giants is very strong. Next thing for this chapter, quick shout out to Zoro.
Bloodlusted, man.
I just love when he flips that switch for just a second, and you just remember that, okay, yeah, this guy at any time is absolutely wrecking just about anybody. Like there's not many people left in the world that this guy just couldn't boom. Yeah. And I kind of like it, and just a similar moment, back in Egghead when one of
was it Lilith?
It was Lilith. They were like threatening the Straw Hats, and then the other one
when they're surrounded by
and the other one called him, and he's like, "You have no idea. The guy with the sword is ready to kill you at any second." And I just like those little moments, like, yeah, but those little fine details about Zoro, I always find really special and really excellent.
Yeah. What do you think of the castle? And well, I guess that's more on the 1137 side, but I think it's just
it is.
The way they talk about Harold and Loki, there's definitely more context to it. He didn't just betray Elbaf and kill his father for the greed of the fruit. I just don't believe it, man.
There's got to be, because it just seems like he has convictions.
Mm-hmm.
Like his dad had convictions, obviously, and we'll talk about that in a second. But it feels like Loki also has convictions. And at the end of the chapter, he finally meets our two holy knights. We get to meet Gunko first, and then obviously we see Shanks's brother under the hood again. But I just like the defiant nature of Loki, and it's in our background here. The way he's talking to them, chained up, kind of at a disadvantage, and he still doesn't care. He's still not willing to give at all.
Exactly, because you think that's a sweet deal, right? You've been chained up for 6 years. Hey, come join the Holy Knights. Have all the benefits of a world noble, basically. He's like, nah, I'm good. I'm gonna. And the dialogue was interesting, right? He said he's gonna manifest his rage to wreak havoc on the world. See, that was another clue, and why I brought up the destruction Nika earlier. It's because he has that conviction to do that. He wants to manifest his rage, to bring about destruction.
Yeah.
So that's why I lean towards him having just a variation of Nika as that legendary fruit. I think there's very, good evidence for that.
And then we'll talk about it here and at the end. Gunko's ability we've seen in the past with Emu.
Yep.
Do you think there's any special tie-in between these two? Do you think there's anything, or is it just maybe a power that he's given out? How do you think that works?
Well, I mean, it did say arrow fruit, so I do think it, is just a devil fruit. It's hard, man, because 1137 we don't have the official translations yet. So
yeah,
how did she explain the power? She explained it like it can uphold my future, or like the trajectory of her future, or something like that. I thought that was interesting.
That sounded like Bonnie a little bit too.
Yeah, I did. Right.
And I didn't want to whoa, what are we going? Yeah, I didn't want to overanalyze that, but it's like Bonnie said something very similar about seeing her future in the way the way she just
the officials for that.
Yeah, we'll wait for the officials, but the way she said it in the early translation was we are offering you a chance at divinity. Oh, it's before. But yeah, you're right. I mean, it just I like the power. I think it's cool, but it's also, it just seems a lot like Emu. Let's see. Let's move on to the next chapter here, 1137.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned before, let's talk about the castle. The castle, nobody's been in there since the event. Obviously, somebody had, tampered with it and been inside as we go in. The big portrait of Harold, and then, and the scars on his forehead where he ripped out the horns, and Zoro's like, what conviction? Like, talk to me about that, because we've seen Oars, we've seen we saw with the baby Oars, pretty sweet that he ripped his horns out. Like, this guy had to be a badass.
Yeah, this guy is a badass, and it kind of how they talked about him. They talked about him as like kind of some peaceful guy, but still a warrior, right? So it's not surprising
that he wanted peace. He was willing to work his way to peace. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's cool that he has, the portrayal of, some badass guy, right? But it's
Yeah.
clear that, like you said, he has some conviction. He wanted to change Elbaf's ways, and he even asked Saul to, build the schools for the children. Like there's a cultural change going on in Elbaf under his
Yeah,
reign.
and
It's
and
pretty cool to see.
and there's a nice not a nice, it's nice isn't the right word, but the panel where they're like they walk into the castle and all the guards' skulls are there. Like
Yeah,
Loki, like the Loki
he
man,
went ham.
he went off. And the fact that he stabbed the one guy in the head and the only thing that saved him was the helmet. Like
Yeah.
when this guy fights, I think your destruction idea is going to be really, really spot on, because Loki just seems like such a problem when he actually fights. This is when after that we get to see, you know, the giant. We get to see a little bit more of the giants' interactions, things like that. And then we come back to Loki, who's obviously getting put through the paces by Gunko. She's the arrows, like you said, very cool. Was that future sight from Loki there a little bit at the? Did you kind of catch? Did you kind of see that also, or what did you think there?
I was thinking it possibly. It just the future sight depiction is kind of hard to know. Usually Oda like clearly points it out when someone's using it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard to say really. I don't know, but I mean, it's clearly still an impressive feat to just like one, tank all those attacks when you're chained up and you're suppressed by the Sea Stone, and two, to even dodge some of those attacks, right? Like, I mean, pretty impressive, honestly.
So the way she says it, and here's this little. So you're gonna let loose a full speed attack to the right side of my face, and that's why I thought it, because he called it before it happened. So to me, I thought that was future sight, and it'll turn me sideways. Then you'll uppercut me. Thanks for giving me notice. So to me, that was future sight.
What was she? She wasn't saying that, right?
No, he was saying it to her.
Okay,
and
yeah,
obviously not the official translation. To be fair, we
right.
don't know, but based on what we've got early, And then she said, "These arrows show the trajectory of my future." That was her response to him telling her what was going to happen. So I thought that was interesting. And then the outcome is unavoidable. Only I can stop it before it happens. So I think in Loki's mind, he could have stopped that or the arrows because he can see it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense to you?
No, yeah, that makes sense for sure. But again, I definitely want to see the officials for that, because things like that have changed so much when you read the officials. Sometimes it can like mean something completely different, honestly.
Nope, you're totally right. And we are going about this before the officials come in, so that is also fair.
Yeah.
The some of the other animals come up to try to help him. I like that he has that. Are you thinking Conquerors potentially? Because the control of the animals and things like that just to me leads to the fact that I'm assuming he has Conquerors, and that's how he was able to tame them all, and that's why they're all coming to him in his moment of need.
I mean, he just clearly, obviously has the qualities of a king in general. So either way, I wouldn't be surprised.
And then we get to the moment, the big reveal at the end of the chapter. Figurlin Shamrock, Shanks' brother.
Confirmed now.
Confirmed. Give me your thoughts on his first appearance. What are your your first initial thoughts on this character?
Yeah, so I'm a big fan of the design for sure. I think the braids too also fit the theme of Elbaf. He seems like he's going to be a very calm and collected character. I thought maybe he could be like super wild at first, just based off speculation. But he seems like he's going to be a calm and collected character who just maybe is very cold-hearted and just will do anything to get the job done, honestly. Might have a supreme grade blade. Obviously the Holy Knights seem to be portrayed as very swordsman heavy. So maybe he could be one of our next supreme blade wielders. That'd be cool. Obviously, he's probably very strong. We don't know exactly, but you can assume he's probably close to Shanks or on that level.
Yeah, he has to be close.
Yeah,
so I don't know why the Shamrock part it's kind of silly to me.
It's kind of funny, yeah.
It's like this guy's gonna be like a total badass, cool, calm, collected, but then his name's Shamrock. I'm just like, dang it! Like, couldn't there be something a little bit more But looking forward though, Shay, Luffy and Zoro are on their way to talk,
Yeah.
to have this conversation. I've heard other people say it. Let's ask you now that we've seen it, now it's confirmed. Can Luffy fight this guy? Or do you think Zoro will get the first crack at him?
So when you say, can Luffy fight this guy, do you mean like right now, or do you mean like, do you think he's going to be the main villain of the arc?
No, I'm positive Luffy would be able to fight and do that. I'm saying, will there be any drawback to Shanks? Because I feel like he keeps mentioning seeing Shanks, and he's going to see this guy who looks directly like Shanks, except he doesn't have the scar. I'm just wondering if there's going to be a minor mental block where maybe Zoro says, Luffy, this is serious, or, and maybe they attack or something where Zoro has to step in first.
Yeah, that's a good question. It's hard to say, really. Mm-hmm. I can see this playing out in a variety of ways. One, Luffy just knows right away it's not Shanks for whatever reason, because he does have a kind of a good judge of character and the sensory aspect. But then again, he is a dumbass also. So it's like he could easily be fooled by the appearance right away, and maybe he'll hold back, like you said. I would think it would be cool if we get like a Water 7 Lucci moment when he kind of washed Zoro and Luffy together inside the building. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe just as a good introductory flex to Shamrock or something like that. I feel like
if he takes them both, that could be trouble.
Yeah.
That could be real trouble. I mean, it's possible. I at this stage, if he's that strong, that'd be really impressive. I just, I was thinking maybe, Luffy's. Yeah, I'm okay. Yeah, I think I'm interested. I'm really interested to see how that interaction goes down, because, I think Zoro's been waiting to kind of get after it again after, they beat up on Roto for a little bit, but nothing crazy. I think Zoro's kind of itching to get back into the fighting scene. So we'll see what happens there.
What do you think of the little note at the end where it's like the Holy Knights are mobilizing, right? That's exactly what Dragon said. He's like, the fighting begins when the Holy Knights will be mobilized. So if Shamrock's calling in the reinforcements, it makes you think, man, like this could all go down very soon, even with the revolutionaries.
We're headed that way in a hurry now, and I'm excited. I'm we're getting to see the final pieces get laid to the story, and Dragon will be into the story now. Sabo will be back into the fold in a bigger way. We'll get to see all these guys finally really be into action and see what the revolutionaries can all do as a whole, instead of small little details here and there. Man, I'm excited. Who do you think that the revolutionaries come to Elbaf to help? Do you think there's a showdown on Elbaf still, or where do you think we're at now with that?
Man, it's hard to say. It's really hard to say, because so many pieces are going in so many different directions. We know the Revs have been kind of beefing with the Blackbeard pirates too. Mm-hmm. Obviously, what happened on what's it like Baltigo or something like that, and how Blackbeard's trying to also establish his kingdom with the Celestial Dragons, right? And like kind of have those, well, not Celestial Dragons, but have world government protection essentially. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of moving parts. Like with Crossgo to the Navy, they seem to be picking up towards a beef. So, there's so many moving parts. It's really hard for me to give an honest prediction at this point, because I feel like it could just go in a numerous amount of ways. Elbaf could become the next God Valley for all we know. Like maybe Shamrock's like, fuck it, we're taking out all the giants. We're taking this land now. Maybe it's just time for that.
That's what I mean. Is like we're in a really good spot in One Piece right now, where we have a lot of options, and most of these options are going to be entertaining and potentially have great results if if Oda takes it the right way. I think this is set up really, really well. I'm looking forward to, like you said, seeing Shamrock's gonna have to match up and at least answer the call of Luffy or Zoro, and that's going to be really cool. We'll see what happens. We're potentially going to see Loki free at some point and see what he can really do. I mean, there's a lot of fun stuff that can happen here.
It's very unique how, like, usually when you get to an island, right, Luffy's he's liberating the island from the enemy within, who has like taken over said island, right? But this time they're invading. Like the main antagonists of the arc are actually invading the land. So that's going to be an interesting dynamic.
Yeah, you're right. It's kind of flipped, and I do like that. What do you think is the best outcome for Elbath? Do you have one in your mind of what you would like to see come from this arc? Have you gotten that far yet?
Kind of. I would say that it should be the kickoff to like the final war, right? Maybe, you know, obviously we know, like for instance, Mihawk and Zoro is like the final fight for him, but I'm ready to see Cross Guild have their first beef with like the Navy, which seems to be building up. You know, Sengoku, they're trying to take out Cross Guild. I just want to see the parts move that we're expecting to move. Not necessarily get to their end game, but I just want to see like a lot of progression in that way. And I want to see the fourth poneglyph get involved, obviously, because I think Elbath, we're going to get the final poneglyph after Elbath, and then it's just straight to Raftel. Maybe multiple factions will be there. So
you're ready to see. And if you guys recall, we ranked our factions and we did all that earlier. That was a fun one. But you're ready to see some of those factions we talked about mobilize and start making their move and getting into position for that final push. And
I think that's the kickoff to that. Yep.
Yeah, no, that's well said. For me, I'm looking for I want everything. I kind of want everything to be set. And I think it's a similar vision to yours, but I want there to be goals by each. We got, you know, we know the Holy Knights are wanting to, you know, just they're ready to take over. They're ready to clear out the way for everybody else. You know, Luffy, the pirate, wants to become Pirate King. You know, I want to see those players all set into their way. Like it's, you know, it's a similar outlook to you, but I want everybody to have a goal that they're all headed towards. And I think that's what Elbath to me is heading in that direction. And I'm really looking forward to the ending of Elbath.
Gotcha.
These two chapters. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, before we get in the last part, there's one thing I wanted to add to this chapter, and I thought it was cool how, I don't know how to say his name. I say Hajrudin. How do you say his name?
I try to say it like that.
So he's
Hajrudin. Yeah, I mean, you know.
I like how we're finally getting another Grand Fleet member and maybe their goal, right? Like, and a character conflict possibly, because obviously Hajrudin has been like the weaker brother for so long, but now we understand that his mother is actually the tainted giant blood. He's not even like a pure-blooded Elbath warrior. So to see him actually unite Elbath and be like the king of Elbath would be a really cool subplot. And, you know,
actually,
we're getting that for a Grand Fleet member, in my opinion.
Now that you've laid that out there, and you know, I like that they asked Roto, like, hey, why do you guys not like other giants? And he's like, well, why do you guys not like other humans?
It's a good point.
And, you know, and I thought that was like really well done, and that's a nice like reflective piece on the world. Sure. But you know, but it's such a stupid thing. Like, why do you not like other giants that aren't from you know? I like that, and I like that you put that out there. Like, I think, you know, Loki leaves with the Straw Hats or goes out into the world by himself, and that's where, you know, Hydrogen comes in and he unites Elbath, and that's a great moment for him. And then you know, but I think Luffy puts him into that. You know, Luffy has that connection with him, and that still leads to my point early in the episode. Elbath becomes Luffy's territory. He's the new king. That sets the precedent going forward.
Yeah.
You know, now that you've laid it out that way, it comes full circle for me that is how this chapter ends in terms of Elbath being a territory for Luffy and the Straw Hats now instead of the Red Hair Pirates. So very well said. These two chapters will kind of tie them into one. Shady, you know, give me an out of 10 for these two chapters for you.
I'm going to say I'll give them 8s because they're built up in lower chapters. We know the structure of One Piece. You know, you're not really going to be getting 10 out of 10 chapters this early that often. It's just not going to happen. So I think these chapters are doing their job. They don't feel too slow paced, which is good. I feel like things are actually moving and we're learning, and that's really all I can expect in the introductory chapters of arcs.
Yeah.
Just cut out the fluff. Cut out the fluff, Oda.
Yeah, he you know, he won't. He just can't.
I know.
It's just like there's 30 years of evidence that just say I'm not doing that, man. But I think eights are right in line because, you know, and some people don't feel the same. But man, some of these lore chapters and some of these information building chapters, they're the building blocks to get to these big time battles. These are are the pieces that you have to kind of have in order for a story to culminate. You know, I think of Elbeth, you know, now that we've looked at it, I'm hoping this is, you know, the impel down to whatever's next is Marine Ford, or, you know, like you said, you know, we're getting to that final war type situation, or maybe this is a step even before impel down type situation. But eights are very solid. I think these were good chapters. We got to meet, you know, 2 of the Holy Knights. We've got background on giants. Loki's, you know, showing off his badassness a little bit. You know, we get some Nika information, a lot of good stuff here. So we're going 8s out of 10s for these 2 chapters, Shady. Let's get into questions this week.
Yep.
We reached out to everybody on TikTok, on social media. We said, hey, we'd love to answer some questions on the show. We'd love to get some, you know, viewership interaction. So let's start at the top, Shady. First question from our guy, Brando. Guy's been very supportive for us behind the scenes. Also our biggest critic. So he goes both ways. Shady, for you, who is the best written character in One Piece?
Yeah, that's a tough one for sure. I like Doflamingo the best as the best written character. And I think that has to, so I kind of say Doflamingo, Whitebeard, and Law, but I like the Doflamingo Law dynamic the best. I feel like he just kills on that nurture versus nature theme. Yeah. With everything from being a celestial, from going literally from heaven to hell. And that's his character arc, right? And then everything with Law and Corazon and it being tied in. So maybe I cheated and named too many characters, but I'm going to go with Doflamingo.
Well, now I feel like I should change my answer. My answer was going to be Law because his backstory with the disease that everybody was getting and everything that he went through, having that certain amount of time to live, meeting Corazon, getting the devil fruit to change his entire life, the Oppo Nimai, Doflamingo, the situation there, getting, similar to what you said, but on the opposite end of that coin, his relationship with Luffy, I think, is also really well done. While, he is kind of that, that guy who's not going to laugh and play and do all that stuff. He's still somebody who respects Luffy and, views as, probably his best friend besides Beepo. They're not going to ever be like besties like that, but that's not what I mean. But, kind of a Vegeta and Goku more situation where they didn't have the big fight, but they have that kind of relationship where Vegeta respects Goku the most. I think that's how Law views Luffy out of everybody. He's a guy who he can count on no matter what. And then I always thought that the only real letdown for Law in everything that we've had story-wise for him would be him not getting to finish off Doflamingo to complete his story. Mm-hmm. But I think overall,
I get both sides of that argument for sure. Maybe one day we can break it down in full depth, but
yeah, and we probably should, because we've talked about it a little bit here. But it just, if you wanted to complete an almost perfect story arc, that would have been the storybook ending. Yeah. So, but I just Law, he's got great design, he's got great background, he's
abilities.
He's got great abilities, and he's not so overpowered. He's still touchable. He's still somebody you can. I've always really resonated with Law as a character, as dating back to he could beat Zoro, all that kind of
stuff. Yeah, those are funny, man. I mean, it's good. It's good conversation for sure, because they are, they're supernova peers. So It was fun, dude. I also think that Law and Luffy kind of remind me of Sengoku and Garp a little bit. Obviously, it's not quite the dynamic, but the personalities and the contrast to personalities is what makes me think that.
And that's actually good because because we've seen Law and Sengoku have a relationship.
Exactly.
They communicate, and
Yep.
we've actually seen them have a relationship. So I like that comparison where Garp's the loud, boisterous, kick your ass type guy, and Sengoku's cool, calm, and collected. And I just I really enjoy those relationships, even though Chopper, the way he'll let Chopper ride on his head. He'll let I just think he has good layers to him as a character.
No
Number 2, this is from Kid Kinsey, another friend of the show. So his question is there a point in hype and build up where it becomes potentially detrimental to a character? And I think his examples here were Dragon and Shanks.
So I'd say it can be for sure, but again, that to me depends on the execution, and I think this is a question that can go across all shonen manga, right?
Oh, for sure.
I mean, Dragon and Shanks, like it's possible, but again, we haven't seen their reveals yet. Like we haven't seen the payoff yet. So yeah, sure, Dragon could be a big disappointment, but in a long series like One Piece, I understand why people are going to feel that way, right? Oh, it's been 1,200 chapters and we still haven't seen Dragon. There's no way he's going to live up to the hype of this character that was introduced in the East Blue in chapter 50, right?
Yeah.
Like, well, I get
here's an example of somebody who was let down that had hype. Big Mom.
Yeah, and I'd even argue Kaido too, honestly.
Well,
in terms of character.
Oh, okay.
Not power. I think
in terms of character,
sure. In terms of character, because again, Kaido's introduced, with the kid Hawkins and them in that panel, like everything about his character in war and wanting to, start these wars and stuff. Like the depth was just very lacking compared to what we were anticipating.
Big Mom and Kaido for different reasons. Yes, feel like a letdown. So I think to an extent, hype can be overdone, and I'm really hoping Dragon is not a letdown.
Same with
Shanks to me is not a letdown. I just think if we saw Shanks, I don't, I think that's tough. Mihawk has a lot of hype too. We've got to see him do a couple things. I'm expecting all.
He has to live up to the hype too, for sure. Like he's
got one of the biggest titles in the show. So he's got a lot to live up to. Also, I think Oda will do a good job with those three overall. Last question. This one's an interesting one. This one's a topic of conversation from a lot of people. Who is the man marked by flames?
Yeah, that's a great question. I thought it was. Maybe it still is. I thought it was Shamrock, honestly. I always thought it was going to be.
He didn't have a scar, though.
Yeah, what?
He didn't have the scar, though, did he?
Well, we don't really know what marked by flames means. Maybe it's flames all over his body. Maybe it's I don't know, something, right? Can that be?
You're right. That's fair. I guess in my mind, I have it built up as like a scar or something. I don't know why. It's just in my mind that
it could be. But the reason why I think that is because Shiryu said it's probably a government guy. I don't know if that's just Oda purposely trying to mislead us, but it feels like obviously the key to getting the last poneglyph is the guy marked by flames. And now the Holy Knights and Shamgar are showing up on Elbaf in the arc where we expect to get that last poneglyph, right? So it seems like all the dots are just kind of connecting. So I don't know. Maybe it's not Shamrock, but I feel like it is someone connected to the world government and that last poneglyph in some way.
I don't have a good answer for this one. Have you ruled out it being Saw still? Because he has with his knowledge and everything, he could possibly have a connection to the poneglyph. I don't know. I'm struggling with this one because, like you said, the different interpretations. Like I said, I thought it was potentially a scar.
I think Saul's a red herring for that for sure.
Okay, so another red herring. Yep, no, that's fair. That's an interesting one, and it's something that I'm expecting to have a good answer for because now we've kind of heard about it. Well, who's it going to be, and what's the tie-in?
Yeah. Who knows, man? It's
who knows.
That's a tough one. I'm excited to find out, though.
I am too. I'm definitely excited about that. Shady, last one here. We're gonna we're gonna start, incorporating a trivia. You're talking about a game
Yep.
tonight. What do we got?
All right, so yeah, we're gonna start incorporating some trivias. I feel like that'll keep our One Piece mind sharp for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
What I was thinking to start was a game that kind of goes around TikTok. Have you seen it? So you have 30 seconds, and basically you come up with a topic, right? And I say I can name 10 of that. You say I can name 15, and we go up, and then the other person has to say no. You name it. You down?
Okay. How do you want to start it then?
So I was gonna say maybe we do something like, I don't know. I can name 10 characters in Wano in 30 seconds. How many can you name?
I can name 12.
Okay, I can do 15.
Damn it. Now I have to think about it. I can name in 30 seconds. Shoot, that's the hard part. I can name 17.
Whew, okay. I can name 20. I can do 20.
You can do 20 in 30 seconds. I can do I could do 21. I can't go any further, I don't think.
All right,
in 30 seconds.
Do I call them out? That's a tough one. Shit. I'll do 22.
Okay, I want to hear 22 then. Go ahead.
Okay,
I'm gonna let me get my timer ready. Let's see. Let me get my seconds ready. All right. In 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay. Luffy, Zoro, Nami, Usopp, Sanji, Chopper, Robin, Frankie, Brook, Jinbei, Kaido, Big Mom, Jack, Queen, King, Who's Who, Sasuke, Black Maria, Ulti, Page One, Ashura Doji, Kinemon, Denjiro, Kawamatsu, Dog and Cat, if that counts, Carrot.
Time.
Hawkins. How many did I get?
You got it. You got 20. You got 28.
28? Oh, damn. Okay.
Well, yeah.
Not bad.
I guess when you said this, I was like, I didn't think of naming just the Straw Hats.
Oh yeah.
No, but that was good. I like that. That was fun.
Oh, if it was Wano exclusively characters, is that what you actually thought?
Well, I was like, shit, can I name? No, that's good. No, I'm glad you did it that way, because when you started, I was like, damn it, this fucker stole the Straw Hats. No wonder he got it. Yeah, that's good. That was good.
I still got 5 more though, so that's okay.
Yeah, no, you had the scabbards, and you were on the right page. You were on the right track. You had 28. Yeah.
Okay, not bad.
No, that was good. That was good. I like that. That's a fun game. I've got one.
Trivia?
I've got one trivia. Let me get it pulled up.
Okay.
What was the name of the fish woman that Rayleigh saved at Sabayori?
Kami, right?
Kami. Yeah. There's a video that popped up on my TikTok of that scene, so I was just like, I'm gonna see if he remembers how well he remembers. No, that was just a quick, easy one though.
Okay, for sure. Yeah, we'll make them harder each week. We'll cook up some good ones. We'll cook up some good ones for sure.
Yeah. No, we'll definitely next week. I'll do it. I'll have a 5 question quiz for you.
All right, bet. Sounds good. And I'll come up with something too for you.
Of course, that was fun. I was like, I don't want to go any higher than what I'm positive I can do.
Yeah.
But Shady, another fun episode. We got to review 2 chapters from One Piece. We got to do some questions from the viewers, which we massively appreciate. If you have any questions you want to get read on the show, please send them in. TikTok, Instagram, X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. Hit subscribe on the YouTube show. On the channel, we're at like 56, almost 60 subscribers. So please hit subscribe there. Shady, this has been fun, man. I love that shirt. I absolutely love that shirt.
Yes, sir.
New episodes on Netflix, guys. Do not sleep.
Yeah.
Hajime no Ippo.
Get on it.
And it's subbed. It's not dubbed. So enjoy if you are a subbed person. You watching any anime or anything right now?
No, I'm not. I wanted to start Shogun actually because I haven't seen it yet. Have you?
Yeah, The
It's
anime
phenomenal, right? No.
or the
The
TV
live
show?
series. Yeah.
I'm going to be straightforward with you. There's not a lot of things that are more up your alley than Shogun.
That's what
So
I thought. Yeah.
I like, I know, you like the swords, you like all the culture, you like all that stuff. There's just not a lot of things that are not made for you, and that is
Sure.
made for you for sure. So
Yeah.
hopefully you start it, and we'll get some information on it for if you start it this week or in the next couple of weeks. We'll talk about it.
Yep.
All right, guys, this has been Cross Guild Chronicles episode number 9, chapter review 1136, 1137, with some fun stuff at the end. I'm your host, Doug. That's my guy, Shady, and we will see you guys next time.